Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
This is the TST Surfer e-bike. We're going to review it next on Now Let's Review. So, Jesse, you can go on Amazon and you can get a very similar bike to this for like $440. This one is $989. So why would you spend double to get this bike?
Well, let's talk about it, and then I think we'll let you decide at the end if you think it's worth it.
Okay.
This is a 500 watt, 1000 watt peak motor. Again, I don't know why they do the nominal and the peak. Now, on their website, they claim that this is a 1000 watt motor.
And this is Sudo, which is a sub-brand of Bafang. I guess the difference is on Amazon, if we're going to do that comparison, you don't really know what brand of motor you're getting, and it's probably not in the Bafang motor world. So just so you know, Sutto, S-U-T-T-O, is a sub-brand of Bafang. It is still a good motor, but it's probably one step down from Bafang.
But the big question is it 1000 watts? And I don't think that this one is. They claim that it is. I think it's a 1000 watt peak.
Right.
1000 watt peak is very different than a 1000 watt motor, which usually has a peak of like 2000 watts. And so by not telling you, by being like 1000 watt, they're implying that it's 1000 watt nominal, but it's probably 1000 watt peak.
Yeah, and it looks to me like it's in the 500 or 600 watt nominal, and that's what it felt like. It was very peppy because of the bike style, but yeah, it was not 1000 watts. So if we go over to Amazon, what are they claiming?
On Amazon, we found one that said that it was a 500 watt motor, 1000 watt peak.
So very similar, we just don't know the brand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another big difference is going to be the battery size.
That is going to be a big difference, I think. I think for them on Amazon to get the lower price, and we know this because we've seen their actual watt hours, is about half the watt hours you're going to get here. So what is this battery?
That's 720 watt hours.
Right. So on Amazon, you're going to see a lot of 360 watt hour in that range. And for most of us, we don't know what watt hours means, so we just gloss over that. But that is the amount of energy stored in the battery. And so as that goes down, your range goes down. And also your power output goes down.
So this means that you get double the range, and so you also get double the price, which is pretty good if range is what you're after.
So this is where I go, if you're getting this for a kid to ride around the neighborhood and range isn't really an issue, then you might be able to go for the less range. Go for the Amazon, save some money. If this is for you, the commuter, the person who really needs all that range, then don't cheap out.
And it also might be an insurance policy. Let's say you go for a long bike ride. You would have hate to have gone over hill and dale all day and then have your battery die on the way home and have to basically actually bike the way back. So having double the range might be really, really nice. Another big piece that justifies the price for me is going to be the brakes.
Okay, so these have hydraulic brakes, and in fact, these are adjustable hydraulic brakes.
Yes.
Whereas on Amazon, very generally in that price range, you're only gonna get cable brakes.
And there's nothing wrong with cable brakes, it's just that hydraulic brakes are so much nicer and so much safer.
For a couple of reasons. One is they're so much more comfortable in your hand. I'm pulling the brakes now with just 2 fingers, easy peasy. If you don't have great hand strength, that's probably something to think about. Also, as you mentioned, when you get into cable brakes, it's gonna, when you really need them, you're gonna have to pull with all your might to stop yourself. And there's moments like that in biking that you don't think much about. You don't think you're gonna have those problems, but you do. And that's when you're gonna be glad that you had better brakes. Okay, so the bunch of things you just mentioned there that I now I'm kind of getting. I'm also thinking about, we got this on a combo sale. You'll see this a lot on this style of bike where you get the fenders and the rear rack kit, in this case, for free. Whereas on Amazon, a lot of times, those bikes don't come with it. You have to pay for it extra.
The one that we saw did have them, so that's pretty cool.
All right, so this has 7 shifter. So is that something you don't get in Amazon?
Very common on Amazon or many cheap bikes. They're gonna come with the bog standard Shimano 7-speed shifter. This one is an upgrade. It's SIS Index. It's nice. It's got a nice click to it. You're able to shift very, very quickly. So that could definitely be seen as an upgrade as well.
How about the seat? I see a lot of uncomfortable looking seats on Amazon. This one is actually branded TST e-bike, and it's actually a nice seat.
Yeah, it's a bit on the firm side, I would say. More for your bicyclist and less maybe for your e-biker. Again, seats, I would say, belong less to the bike than most of the things.
Because you can switch them out.
Because you can swap out seats so easily. You just do this, and then
or
you
even
spend,
swap it out on the stem.
Yeah, then you spend 20 to 50 bucks for a nice, big, comfortable seat. Go, just splurge. Get a nice seat, your butt will thank you.
Paint job. This is seemingly nice, but can I just mention something I don't like? It's the welds. I would think for this price range, I would want those welds buffeted out. It has nothing to do with strength or quality. These are all gonna hold up the same. But when it's a nice shiny red paint job and then I see these welds, it's something that subliminally makes you think crappier. If this all flowed smoothly into each other, and it's all over the bike actually, then you would say like, wow, high quality. But the actual red shiny paint brings it out to me. And so I feel like they should have spent an extra 10 bucks buffing those.
I mean, I love the paint color. This is like a nice sports car looking red. It's got the silver. Who the heck knows what that means? That is their logo, oddly enough.
But that's another thing. Going back to brands. If this were a brand that everyone thought was great, like for instance, when you go wear a jacket, right, and it says North Face or if it says Canada Goose, then you show that off with pride. That shows that you spent a lot on the jacket.
Right.
This is not a brand that anyone knows. I don't even know what that signifies. I mean, TST. So don't, in my opinion.
That doesn't look like TST.
No,
right?
exactly. So like, if you're trying to show off your brand and you can't even spell it or say it, that just seems dumb to me. I'd rather have a picture of a wave or something. I mean, it is the Surfer.
Right. I agree. I mean, I just think overall the presentation is pretty nice. I agree about the welds. I mean, a lot of e-bike companies will cover up these welds. They will basically buff those out and then leave the kind of the lower ones, so that way you get like the premium where everyone's looking, because your legs are going to be covering all of this stuff when you're riding. So I mean, compared to the Amazon e-bike, you know, you're probably not going to get such a nice red. The welds are probably going to look the same though.
Yeah, so far you're not really convincing me to get this bike. So let's talk about what this bike does have. It's 2.25 inch wide by 27.5 inch wide tires. And that's actually bigger than most Amazon tires. But honestly, I don't know why 27.5s are better than 26.
The bigger the radius, basically the smoother it can roll over stuff. Like a skateboard wheel, you've ever hit a rock on a skateboard and you go flying, the bigger the wheel, the less that's gonna happen.
For me, having a bigger wheel brings up the bottom of the pedal. And when you're doing a turn, the higher you can get off the ground, the less chance you're gonna catch that pedal.
True.
And so that's one advantage to me. But again, 1.5 doesn't make much of a difference because half of that is 3/4 of an inch. What else does this bike have in terms of, I mean, it has 80mm front fork throw, which is nice. No rear suspension, it's a hardtail. But if you're using it as a road bike, I think that's fine. How do you like the screen?
Screen's very basic.
Although it's nice and tucked and hidden over here.
Nice and tucked and hidden away. You have enough room where you could probably fit a phone mount. So
Definitely want a phone mount, and you can put a water bottle here.
Yeah, so I mean, all that's good. This bike is cadence sensing.
That to me is where they should have spent the money.
Yeah.
It really changes the bike to me from a toy to a real tool. Cadence sensing to me, where you give it your first push on the pedal and it just starts rocketing you off to 15 miles an hour, isn't what I think most bike riders want. I think they want in PAS level 1 to go up to like 8. And so if you're gonna do cadence, at least do it right. And I feel like they didn't do it right. It's gonna scare a lot of new e-bike riders, which is what this bike is for. And so what I'm talking about is this: you're gonna get on it your first time, you're gonna start to pedal, nothing seems to happen, so okay. And then, and then you get lurched forward after about 0.7 seconds. It doesn't happen immediately, so your brain doesn't connect pedaling with going like power.
Yep. I've seen a lot of people really scared of cadence bikes when they first get on them. I think especially older riders, your brain is not ready to learn something like this.
Right.
An old dog doesn't learn new tricks. It is kind of true in terms of overall brain plasticity, but I think, yeah, it is really sad because if you buy an Amazon bike, it's gonna be the same cadence.
Exactly. So if they had spent a few more bucks on torque sensing, and that's what I want you guys to keep that in mind. Torque sensing makes you feel like just a powerful rider. It's not jerky, it's just sweet. And if they had done it on this bike for this price, I would have been very excited about it. That's the one piece I think they should have done.
Again, cadence sensing is good for like long periods where you're gonna be traveling at pretty high rates of speed. So if that fits you or, you know, whatever, then that's great. Normally, cadence sensing means that it's a cheaper e-bike. And so you can say, well, you know, if this is your starter e-bike or something like that. But I mean, as we mentioned, $969 versus, you know, something $440 on Amazon, you know.
Because I mean, I'm saying for $440, you can get 2 of these bikes, go riding with your friend or your spouse or whatever, and that makes it far more enjoyable. Yes, I will say all day long, the range on this is gonna be better than most Amazon bikes. So if that's important.
But I might say, since you're already at about $1,000 anyway, bump up another couple hundred if you're already in this price range to something with torque sensing. You'll enjoy it a heck of a lot more, I think, if you like pedaling. And if you were looking for something that was more of a motorcycle, don't get this one either. Get something that looks like a motorcycle or feels like a motorcycle or has more power, more range.
I will say that the one sad thing about being on a video with you as opposed to in real life is you need to try these things out to understand the difference between cadence and torque, between front fork and rear fork suspension. Like, these are things your body needs to feel.
Yeah.
So I would say this has a 14-day trial period. I haven't read all the details on it. I can't imagine wanting to ship this thing back. But if you can go try some of these out first, I think that's really important, because then you will see what you like and don't, and you can really go after the features you want. So one trick to this would be go after the Amazon bike first. Really get to know it for a few months, and you probably won't love it.
Yeah.
Write down all the things you don't love and do, and then go buy your perfect bike, and then sell that Amazon bike probably for not much less than you bought it for. And that way you'll really know what you're getting. Whereas if you spend thousands of dollars on a bike without knowing what you need or don't need, I can almost promise you're not going to get the perfect bike on the first try.
Because, I mean, we've been talking about a $400 e-bike that looks very similar to this one. There are $200 e-bikes on Amazon. And that has never happened before.
Right.
It used to be that the cheapest e-bike you could buy was around this price. Actually, this would have been an amazing price
yes, it would
for
have.
any e-bike. We're talking just 2 or 3 years ago.
Right before we started this channel, the cheapest e-bikes I could find were around $3,600.
Yes.
And this bike today probably blows that one away.
It does.
Just like, let that sink in.
Yep.
A bike that was 4 times the cost, now this bike is better than. So it is amazing what we've been able to achieve. They've been able to achieve over these years. But you still are going to be the one riding it, and we just want to make sure you're happy with it. Comment down below if we can help explain things better or bring something to you that we don't quite get across in the videos, and let us know if there's something you want us to review. So we'll see you next time on Now Let's Review.